All right, good morning, folks. I'm glad y'all were able to join us. This is Greg. I'm in the Lafayette office this morning along with Paul in the conference room. What you're about to see is the result of several years of work. Several years ago, we found out that there were technological ways we could try and serve more people without them having to call and apply and get interviewed or be told, I'm sorry, we've got too many applications already today. So we applied for a technology grant from the Legal Services Corporation. They gave us the money, and we've been working on this off and on ever since. What you're going to see are some systems that are designed to be on the web that users can fill in the blanks, and it's going to ask them simple English language questions. They fill in the blanks, and at the end of the process, what they get is legal information that's tailored to their specific situation. So there's a couple of them that we're going to demonstrate to you this morning, but they all work basically the same way. You'll be able to steer clients to these tools. You can see on the screen what the different systems are. You can steer clients to these when you meet with them, in letters that you send them, if we talk to them on the phone at the front desk, and they'll be posted to our website, and they'll be hosted on our statewide law help site. The presenter for today is Mark Lauritsen. He is a contract programmer who has finished up these programs for us, and he's going to demonstrate two of them for you today, and then the others will be coming online in the coming weeks. So Mark, if you would, please take it away.
Good morning, everybody. This is Mark. I'm up in Massachusetts with Capstone Practice Systems, a small group of lawyers and technologists who works with organizations like yours to build these kinds of systems. I was a legal aid lawyer many, many years ago, and I sort of reformed and became more of a technologist and a law professor. So as Greg mentioned, we've been working closely with Acadiana for the last couple of years, and Paul Senegal and Sashida and a few other folks to build out these modules as part of the Law Help Interactive Service. This thing here is a free national service that's funded by the Legal Services Corporation and various other organizations as kind of a holding place for these interactive applications designed to help both legal aid professionals and legal aid clients and court constituents to help themselves and to deal with legal problems when resources don't permit person-to-person, face-to-face assistance. So I'd encourage you, if you haven't already, to visit lawhelpinteractive.org. You can see there's a discussion of how the whole thing works. It's being used in some 40 states. You can sign up for a free account and save answers to questions you make. It's designed to support not only self-helpers, clients, and unrepresented litigants, but legal aid staff, court staff, other kind of nonprofit organizations, and developers, folks like us here, who help build these applications and put them online. So, and there's videos and other explanatory material. But without further ado, let me take you into two examples of the 6 that we've been working on. There's one on bankruptcy, and there's one on subsidized housing grievance systems that we're going to demonstrate. They illustrate two different varieties of these kinds of applications that we are dealing with here. And they illustrate two models. One is where it's simply an interactive questionnaire that steps you through some questions and guidance and gives you some advice or encouragement or information, and some other kinds which actually generate documents, whether it's an informational package or a letter or even a court pleading. And I'm going to show you examples of both. But let me start with the first one. This happens to be the one providing support about bankruptcy. And if I click on this link, and these links will be available on the statewide website and eventually in, I believe, on your own organization's website. But when you click on such a link, you're taken to the Law Help Interactive Service, and then you're given a link to a specific place. In this case, we're going to the bankruptcy. And I'm not logged in. I'm just coming in here anonymously. I don't have to log in unless I want to save my answers. I'm just going to get started. The system will advise me that how this thing works, accept our terms of use, privacy, etc., which I've read before, but clients should generally spend a minute to be sure they understand this, that we're not purporting to give legal advice. We're not trying to use this for any kind of commercial purpose. And this is where the actual application begins. So this particular approach, it's called A to J, which stands for Access to Justice. It's a program developed by the Center for Computer-Aided Legal Instruction, or CALI, which works mostly with law schools. But they built a really nice environment for providing interactive guidance, what they call guided interviews, that step you through questions and decisions. And they have an avatar on the screen who's kind of talking to you as you go through it. And without further ado, let me just take you through this particular one. So you come into a welcome screen. There are buttons on each of these screens to proceed. If you have questions along the way, like here you want to know, what is this Acadiana Legal Services Corporation? You can click that button and it'll provide you some guidance. So it's a nice, relatively easy to use application. In this case, we are being asked for information. And the only reason that we're asking for gender here is because we want to stick an avatar on the screen. So now we've got this guiding avatar, and we've got Jim, who I just said I am. And now you can see these thought bubbles coming out of Jim's head. Well, how is this different from getting advice from a lawyer? Once again, I can click and read some information about how this thing works and why this is not meant to be like a lawyer. So I say, yes, I understand that. I'm just going to go pretty quick, guys, to illustrate how this works. So we're being given some information. It's telling me, hey, Jim, this is a secure site. This is going to be secure, confidential. You make mistakes, you can go back and change your answers. So I can always back up and say, well, maybe I didn't, maybe actually I didn't agree, but today I do. So let's get to the substance, though. So now we're talking about bankruptcy. It gives you some general information. Once again, there's more information here, like where bankruptcy comes from, the Italian words. But here, the most interesting stuff is, what do I want to know? I want to learn about Chapter 7, Chapter 13. I have no idea what these things are. So maybe I'm really curious about, do I qualify? That's kind of my main goal for here today. So I say, click, and it tells me, yes, I must pass a means test. And now I'm starting to be interrogated about some specifics. So I imagine I'm a two-person household. I am married with my spouse filing with me, being advised that I need to provide some income information. And I'm just going to make up some numbers here. Monthly salary, 900. My spouse makes 120 a month. I'm not getting alimony. I am not getting other support from business, rental, dividends, unemployment, retirement, or other. Let's say I've got a little bit of other income, 30 bucks from doing something. All right, now it knows my total income and my total annual income, and we say, yep, that's correct. Let's proceed, continue. And it tells me, based upon the answers I've given, it looks like I will qualify. And these are things you might want to do. You can consult an attorney for a more detailed means test, or you can click this link, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the end point of this particular application. It's gathered information. It's provided some guidance. Again, it's got links along the way. We didn't look at many of them, but there are a lot more there. And it's pretty much done. And so we've been marching along this pathway to the courthouse or to some solution, and we're done. So when I click Exit Now in this particular application, I'm taken to the Acadiana main website, and we're essentially done with the Law Help interactive experience. So that is one example of an application. Again, that uses the A to J tool, which has this kind of graphical experience with avatars and guidance and a roadmap to some destination. But it doesn't generate any documents. It doesn't really do anything except give you some advice and give you some links, help you on your way, maybe take the place of a quick conversation with a lawyer or a brochure you might pick up in the waiting room. A little more interesting one that illustrates the other concept is this one on subsidized housing. So if I go to this guy, this is an application developed with some experts at Acadiana about housing law that's designed to provide both information and a sample letter to request a grievance hearing. So once again, we're being given a landing page. We're beginning the subsidized housing grievance package. It's got a pretty elaborate description here of what it's going to do. I'm still not logged in, but I can go anonymously once again. I get reminded to accept the terms. If I have an account and I log in, I only see this one time, and then I'm good. Now, okay, so this is a little different. This is a different interface. This is what we call Hot Docs. It's another tool. It's not as pretty, it's not graphical, but it's got a lot more power in many ways. And this one is we're being presented with a series of these dialogues, these screens. So now I'm being asked, all right, do you live in subsidized housing? Now, if I come in here and say, I really don't know, the system in this case provides some support to help you figure it out. So if I click on this button here, now I'm taken into what I guess might charitably be called an expert system. Sometimes these things are referred to as an expert system because it has bits of expertise encoded into them. And this is a decision tree that Greg or someone else provided that helps someone figure out, hey, what kind of housing am I in? Which I guess is a common question. So did I go to the housing authority to get the place I'm renting? Yep, I did. Did it say the housing authority is the lessor? No, I didn't say that. Did I leave the housing authority office with paper that I showed somewhere to sign my lease? Yeah, that's what happened to me. Well, it appears you're dealing with the Section 8 program. And this is, had I changed my answers, I would have been taken down a whole different other path, maybe the housing voucher path. So one could stand here and answer questions and get some guidance about the nature of the housing, if any, that they're in. And once they're done with this little side questionnaire, we're back to where we were. So let's say, yes, that in fact seems right. I am in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Now when I proceed, I am given specific information about this particular kind of subsidy arrangement. And now I'm asked, what do I have a problem with? Well, I've been told my subsidy is being terminated. And I get specific guidance about grievance rights under federal law in relation to that kind of an issue. Whereas if I had said, I was told my lease won't be renewed, I get a different bit of advice. Once again, with links out to other websites that might explain this. But let's go back and let's just assume we want to proceed with requesting a meeting. And again, I'm illustrating just the basic mechanics of this. I don't purport to be making this a real case. So I've got some general advice. I'm being encouraged to meet with the landlord to discuss my issues. And the main working part of this system is to give you a tool to generate a letter. So we have an imaginary scenario. I'm just going to put in some generic information. Just to show you how this works. And I want to deal with an informal settlement. I disagree with the following action. We'll type in something very careful to describe what I had a problem with, and my proposed solution is as follows. So at this point, I can do two things. One is I can just finish and say, all right, I'm done with this interview, this questionnaire, and give me the document I've asked about. Or I can actually click this little icon up here in the top, which is a document preview. And this will show me what's going to be produced by the system. So this is the document this thing's actually going to send me. It's going to give me a cover sheet that describes what I entered and what information we can give the user based upon their answers to questions. And then it's got a draft letter that takes my answers to those questions and puts them into a letter form. It's a pretty simple letter, but the user can then print it and bring it down to the appropriate office for signature or for reactions. So let me just wrap up one more step in this to show you how one would typically finish. So you would answer questions. And when I'm done, I press the finish button. Law Help Interactive now will say, okay, thank you. I'm processing your answers, and let me do a couple different things. It'll let me log in at this stage if I haven't already. If I want to save my answers because for some reason I want to come back another time and change them or complete them, I can do that. But of course, I would need to have an account and be logged in to do that. I can generate my document. Let me do that just to show you. So here I say, give me that document, please. And voila, here is that packet. It's been produced. It knows that we're living in Section 8 housing choice voucher situation. It tells me I have some grievance rights, and it's given me a very simple letter that I could edit and print and deliver as necessary. Alternatively, I could email that to myself or somebody else, and I could always return and say, well, you know what? I got this wrong. I chose the wrong type of housing. Now that I've discussed this with somebody else, I realize I'm actually in rural rental housing. And I go down a different path because I've changed my answers, and I've got different choices along the way. So I've been talking a lot, but I wanted to illustrate those general concepts. We have these two different kinds of applications. This one we're looking at, which uses the so-called hot docs interface, a little bit outdated, but very powerful. And the other alternative is the A2J, which has the graphical approach. We have a mixture of both in our list. We have a number of A2J ones for an affidavit of small succession and an unemployment appeal, and the bankruptcy one I showed you. And then with hot docs, we have this subsidized housing grievance system I just demonstrated, and we also have a child custody and a divorce module in progress that they use the hot docs approach. You can always use all of these without logging in, being totally anonymous, or you can establish an account and log in and save your answers and return. And along the way, let me show you one last thing. There are various places in here. I think it's right here where you'll see these little light bulb icons. So this is known as a resource. So this can be just further explanatory material, kind of like the Learn More in the A2J application, that provide further guidance to the user at their option. So I think that completes my quick overview of these two kinds of applications and how they work. And Greg or Paul, if you want to say any more or open this up for any commentary or questions, I'm ready to participate.
All right, thank you, Mark. As these different modules become available, you'll see them on the homepage of our website, and so we'll send out email as those get added. When a user finishes one of these, they'll be brought back to the website to fill out a survey if they want to.